Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Rant. Tonight, it is still technically Monday, July 8th, 2013, and it was Monday Night Raw, of course, broadcasting live from Baltimore, Maryland. I actually got the city this time. A very helpful little pre-show thing actually helped me with that, if I may go off on a tangent before I even get into the show. I had my TV on the USA channel, of course, as Raw is on, and it was about 15 minutes before 8. And it was on a commercial from I think it's NCIS or whatever fucking show is on before Raw. They show this little... They do this all the time. It's not like it's a weird thing or anything, but they'll show like a little pre-show sort of segment where it basically is just like the commentators talk and they're like, oh, coming up next it's Monday Night Raw and you need to watch and all this shit. And so yeah, I saw that and it said they're in Baltimore. And so I'm like, okay, great, let's make a note of that because I know how I've been missing out on the city the last couple of times, SmackDown specifically. But, yeah. Also, if I remember correctly, this same pre-show segment ended really abruptly, and I think they tried to use it to do more of a tease for the Wyatt family shit. We'll get to that, and I'm gonna have fun with this because, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but let's go ahead and start. The show finally starts at the top of the hour, of course, and guess what? It starts with another fucking video for the Wyatt family. And I believe this may have been the same one from SmackDown, or I'm not even really sure. Who gives a fuck? Seriously. And apparently, you know what, let's just not even spoil that. Okay, let me just move on. So they do the Wyatt family video. And that actually starts the show. And then they play the intro video. Which, again, I note that, you know, they don't really do that a whole lot lately. Or maybe I just miss it, I don't know. So they play the intro video. And when that ends, they cut to the ring where Brad Maddox and Vicky Guerrero are both in the ring. And I note that there's also a ladder set up in the middle of the ring. Of course, we're coming up on the Money in the Bank ladder match pay-per-view. So, of course, they have to keep hyping it up. And that's all well and good, I suppose. So anyways, Bricky is in the ring and there's a ladder. And Vicky starts talking. I don't remember what she says because when she talks, I feel my brain cells... Not to borrow a line from Borderlands 2, but I feel my brain cells trying to commit suicide one by one. I really do. Her voice is so obnoxious. Like nails on a damn chalkboard, I swear. That's the only way I can put it. It's that bad. It's that annoying. It's so shrill and horrible. Open the fucking... But anyways. So anyways, she's talking. And again, like I said, I don't really remember what she said. But then she starts climbing the ladder. And she asks, there's like a couple of referees, and Maddox is there, of course. And... Bong. So she starts climbing the ladder, and she tells them, you know, make sure I don't fall. So they're holding the ladder up. I don't think Maddox is, but the two referees are. And so they're holding up the ladder. Vicky climbs the thing, and Brad basically holds the microphone for her. But yeah, so Maddox is holding the mic for her. He holds the mic for her while she climbs the ladder. She gets to the top of it, and he hands her the mic back, and she continues talking. Great, just what we needed, more of her shrill voice. But anyways, she continues talking, and again, I don't really remember what she said. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Jerry Lawler cuts her off from the commentary desk. And I think he basically just says, "Shut up, nobody really wants to hear what you have to say, bitch." Or at least that's what I would have said. I don't know. This motherfucker doesn't want to die. I don't care if you have enough mana to do it. Do it already. This motherfucker doesn't. Anyways, sorry I keep getting distracted. It's kind of hard for me to focus on two things at the same time. ADD. Anyways, so Lawler cuts her off, and they start. He says something about, of course, Vicky's job evaluation is supposed to be later tonight.
Today only.
Your fame has increased.
Yeah.
Let me show you what fell off the back of the wagon.
But yeah, so, the stupid thing about her job evaluation, and Lawler says that on top of the opinions of Vince and Stephanie and Triple H, there's also going to be a vote, a fan vote, on the WWE app. And apparently this will also be part of the vote, or this will count towards the score or whatever of her job evaluation. And upon hearing this, Vicky continues talking, but now she's basically just sucking up to the fans. And of course they're booing because they can see right through it. They're not stupid. And again, she continues sucking up, but she also announces that later tonight there will be a face-off between Mark Henry and John Cena. And she also announces matches that contain the superstars from the All-Stars Money in the Bank, the Raw Money in the Bank match. And yeah. So anyways, she announces these matches. They'll come out. They'll come up in a bit, so don't worry about that. I wasn't actually able to make note of the matches at that time, but she did happen to mention that one of the matches was going to be up next, and it was Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus. So Bryan comes out, and while he's coming out, they cut to a video package of RVD, and it's him winning the Money in the Bank ladder match from WrestleMania 22. And so they show this video package, whatever the fuck. Yeah, so they show this video, and then they cut to commercial. When they come back, Sheamus comes out. So, of course, they start having the match, Bryan and Sheamus. This was actually a good match. I don't want to, come off sounding like negative all the time. It was actually a good match, even though Sheamus was in it. I don't think I took too detailed notes. I'm kind of switching to a different format with my notes. But yeah. Okay. The first thing that really stuck out about the match, they went back and forth for a little bit, and Sheamus then got thrown out of the ring. And so he's on the floor. Bryan goes out to the apron, and he runs at him, and he goes for that flying knee that he does off the apron, right? Well, Sheamus catches him and starts, I don't know if he fell off balance or something, or if, I don't know. But what ended up happening was, he's got Bryan, and they're falling backwards, and he turns him at the last second. He turns him to the left, and they both kind of slam into the barricade over by the timekeeper's area. So they both slam into the barricade, and I think Bryan got the worst of it. But after that, they cut to commercial. The placing of the commercials, I just have to say, the placing of the commercials is so bad sometimes. I personally hate it when they have commercials in the middle of matches. It breaks the flow. And we miss stuff. You know? It's just a bad idea to do that. If you want to have... Obviously, they have to have commercial breaks. I mean, obviously. It's a TV show. It's required by the network. Of course they have to have commercial breaks. But for fuck's sake, place them at better times. And space them out a little bit more. You know, traditionally it's supposed to be you go 15 minutes and then you have a commercial. You go 15 minutes, you have a commercial. No, it's like one every 5 fucking minutes. And it's really annoying, and they break the flow of these matches, and it pisses me off. But I digress. Back to the match. They come back from the commercial. Bryan's doing his comeback combo. And, of course, he flips off of the turnbuckle, and then he backs up, and he hits the ropes. And he ducks the clothesline. Of course, that's part of his comeback combo. But as he's bouncing back from the other ropes, Sheamus catches him and hits the Irish Curse backbreaker. Okay, so there's that. Sheamus gets Bryan down, and then he backs into a corner, and it's looking like he's going to go for the brogue kick. Bryan sees it coming and ducks, and Sheamus' leg goes over the top rope, and he falls out of the ring again. Bryan uses this to do his suicide dive. He nails that, and then he throws Sheamus back in the ring. He goes up to the top rope, Bryan does. And he does the big diving missile front drop kick. He nails that. And then he starts doing the chest kicks, the repeated chest kicks. And then he winds back for the big roundhouse to the head. And Sheamus ducks it. He avoids that. And, oh yeah, he rolls out onto the apron. And he gets up. And Bryan goes for something, but Sheamus ducks it or whatever, and Bryan spins around, and Sheamus grabs him and hooks his arms over the ropes, and he does the clubbing thing. And then after that, Bryan goes down, and Sheamus goes up to the top rope. But Bryan gets back up and crotches Sheamus on the top rope. And then he goes up top, and he goes for like a super Frankensteiner from the top rope. But Sheamus holds onto the ropes, and Bryan falls on his face. And so he blocks that, and he waits for Bryan to get back up, and Sheamus comes down with the big flying shoulder tackle that he does. He does that. I think there was some more stuff going on, and then Bryan gets Sheamus down on his knees again. And he does a big wind-up, big head kick. Kicks him right in the head. Big roundhouse. And then he goes up to the top and he goes for the big Benoit headbutt. But Sheamus moves out of the way. And so Bryan misses that. Bryan goes for the no-lock. But Sheamus blocks it. And counters into the Texas Cloverleaf. And this is the finish of the match. He's got him in the cloverleaf, but Bryan is able to somehow counter out of it and counters into a small package and he gets the 3 count. So Bryan wins clean, even though it's a cheap, small package win. It's still clean, and it's still a win. So Bryan wins, and so he's celebrating. He's yes, yes, all that. Sheamus gets up after it, and I'm thinking, what, is he going to brogue kick him out of spite? He doesn't. They actually shake hands. And so Sheamus decides to piss off, and Bryan continues celebrating, and that's all well and great. Okay, fine. Yeah. So... But yeah, so, what was it? Okay. Yeah, so they shake hands, and they cut away from that, and they start playing this weird video. And if I remember correctly, what it was is, I think the commentators said that they had sent a reporter to find the Wyatt family. So they're down in Louisiana, and yeah, but this video was just really weird. It's shown from the reporter's point of view. Apparently he's got a camera and he's shooting. He goes up to these 2 guys who are doing something in the back of like a minivan or something. They're fiddling around with something in the back of this minivan, and he goes up to them, and they look at him, and I don't know if the audio was weird or something, but don't really hear anything from the reporter guy, at least. But one of the weird dudes looks at him, and he says, yeah, it's that way, just follow the buzzards. And the other dude looks at him, and he's like, yeah, you just keep going that way, you can't miss it. So it was something related to the Wyatts, asking for directions. They cut to commercial. Whatever the fuck. They come back, and they recap Caitlyn's match against Alicia Fox from SmackDown, with AJ's interference and everything. And I just did that video last night, so yeah. After they show that, they show AJ and Big E backstage, and they talk for a minute, whatever the fuck. Oh yeah, Big E's kind of laughing at AJ again, and she says, why are you laughing at me? And he says, you're bugging out on this whole Caitlyn thing. And he's like, you're the Divas champion, you're better than this. You shouldn't be wasting your time with this stuff. So whatever. Ziggler comes up. And he asks Big E to leave because he needs to say something to AJ in private or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it's real private when the camera's still there. But anyways, yeah, Ziggler starts talking to AJ about this plan that they had where he would be the world champion and she would be the Divas champion and the big power couple thing. Again, this is kind of like reiterating what they said in that little WWE app video that I talked about in the SmackDown rant. So... anyways, yeah, so they're talking about this plan for Money in the Bank, and AJ says that she'll do anything to make sure that Ziggler leaves Money in the Bank as the world champion. Whatever, so that whole segment peters off. They show another video package for Mark Henry. Oh, he's so dominant and all this bullshit, and I really don't give a flying fuck. But anyways, the Shield music hits back in the arena, and out comes Rollins and Reigns to a big pop. Of course, the fans like these guys because, you know, they're good. But anyways, they come out. And it's, okay, we're having a tag match. Okay, fine. They cut to commercial. When they come back, they show another RVD video. This time, it's a highlight, essentially, of RVD had a match with Eddie Guerrero. This was back from 2002, I think. But it was a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. And, of course, RVD won. And I think it was from an episode of Raw. I'm not sure, though. But yeah, so they show this video package, whatever the fuck. You cut back to the ring, and Tons of Funk are there. Brodus and Tensai. And I'm like, oh, great, the jiggling. But anyways, so yeah, it's the Shield versus Tons of Funk. Surprisingly, this match actually turned out to be decent. It wasn't super great, but it was decent. So, yeah, but anyways, so, yes, we start having our match, and of course, once again, as before, the last Shield tag team match, they're making quick tags. They isolate Brodus, and they're just beating him up. And like I said, isolating him, quick tags, blah, blah, blah. Sweet Tea finally gets tagged in. And he, of course, comes in like a house of fire, all that shit, you know. That's a big chest. Surprisingly has nothing in it. Anyways, so yes. Yeah, Tensai comes in and he's beating up Rollins and Reigns and everything. And it kind of goes back and forth a little bit. Tensai hits the Baldy Bomb, is what I call it. It's the double hand choke lift big slam. He hits that on Rollins, and I believe this is actually supposed to be his finisher. Or at least it was his finisher at one point. But he hits it on Rollins, and Rollins kicks out. Rollins tagged Reigns in, and Rollins suicide dived onto Brodus on the outside of the ring. And back in the ring, Reigns comes running across the ring and spears the fuck out of Tensai, and he gets the win. So the Shield wins. Yay, good. They say that up next we have the Cena and Mark Henry face-to-face. That's up next. So they cut to commercial, they come back, and they do another one of the videos of this reporter who is in search of the Wyatts. So they show another thing of that. And I think this one basically just shows the reporter finding the place, and he sees, I think it was Rowan in his goat mask next to a big bonfire, and he's picking at something with a pickaxe. So whatever. But as he's looking at Rowan, I think it's Harper comes up from the other side and he says, "We've been expecting you," or whatever. And so, of course, the camera goes away from where Rowan was and looks at Harper, and then it looks back, and Rowan's gone. Just this really weird, stupid... They're trying to be really creepy. It's like basic horror movie camera cuts and dumb shit. And it just don't work. But anyways, yeah, so there's that video. They cut back to the arena, and Cena comes out, and he starts talking, and of course all he basically says is, Mark Henry wants a face-to-face with me, because they'd actually gone over how Henry actually wanted this. He said something over Twitter about it, and it didn't take Cena long to reply over Twitter. But, so yeah, he talks, and he says, alright, Henry, I'm here. You want to come get you some? And so Henry comes out, and he talks a bit, and then Cena talks more. Again, it's boring shit. I really don't like either one of these guys, so I don't really want to think about anything they're saying. They talk back and forth a bit, and it gets to, you know, them's fighting words, and Cena says, okay, you want to fight? He takes his hat, he throws into the crowd, he takes his shirt off, he takes his stupid little dog tags off. And it looks like we're getting ready to have us a fight. And then, Henry's like, no, we not fighting now, because I ain't fighting for free. I've taken a pay cut before. I don't want to lose any money. Anyways, right, so, right. Henry says he doesn't want to lose money, so he basically starts backing out of the ring. But then he turns and he says, you know what? I give you a sample. And he takes his shirt off, and they're getting ready to fight. And then, no. Henry backs down. He's like, no, I ain't going to. And this is a fake out. Cena starts lowering his guard, of course, like an idiot. And Henry runs up and clocks him and starts beating him down. Cena fights back, whatever the fuck. He goes for the attitude adjustment. But for some reason, even though he's done this before, for some strange reason, Cena collapses under Henry's weight when he goes to lift him. This just comes off as bullshit to me, because he's lifted the Big Show, he's lifted Mark Henry, hell, he's lifted Big Show and Edge together, if I remember correctly, for this thing. And he didn't seem to have any problem then. So, and in all those times, he had just, you know, been wrestling a 10-15 minute match. So, and here he's basically fresh. Doesn't make any sense, but whatever the fuck. He collapses under Henry's weight. Henry basically just laughs at him. I think he hits him a couple times, picks him up, world's strongest slam, he hits it, whatever the fuck. Henry grabs the WWE title belt and he holds it up, and then he throws it on top of Cena, and Cena sells it like it actually hurt. And he did this before in one of the other segments where Henry beat him down. I think it was the one where it was Henry's retirement speech. And then he slammed the fuck out of him then. But anyways, he slams it down. So anyways, that segment was over. And then they go to this different thing where I don't know. It definitely wasn't just me, because I discussed this thing on a message board with a bunch of other people, and a bunch of them said that they saw the same thing. So it wasn't just me. The screen, I think it was like they cut over to the commentators talking and whatever, and then it cuts to like this weird test screen. Like, I'm sure people have seen these. It's almost like a what is it, like the Weather Channel sort of test, but it's this weird test screen, and it apparently said the word encompass. And so there was that. And then they cut backstage to Randy Orton, who's in the dressing room, and up comes Josh Matthews. And Matthews is asking him, whatever the fuck, tonight you go against CM Punk, which was one of the matches that Vicky announced earlier. He says, you got a match later with Punk, and then the Money in the Bank thing, and Orton's talking about it, and yeah. So he's talking, and whatever the fuck, that ends, and then they cut to commercial. They cut back from commercial, and The Miz is on commentary. And yeah, so they're talking, and then Chris Jericho comes out. And he comes out, and they do a recap of, if you remember from, I believe it was Raw, Ryback had a match with The Miz. And Miz started working Ryback's leg, and Ryback wound up basically quitting. So they recap that. Don't really know why. I guess it had to do with Jericho, who was in this match. So they figured, oh yeah, okay, fine. So, yeah, they do that recap. And after that, Jericho's in the ring, and then they hit Curtis Axel's music, and he comes out with Paul Heyman. And as they're coming out, we kind of notice that Heyman's wearing sunglasses, and he also has a microphone. So he starts talking while they're on their way to the ring, and he says that, I don't really want to come out here and say that I'm being a martyr for CM Punk. He takes the sunglasses off and shows that he's got a black eye from where Del Rio clocked him from SmackDown. So, yeah. So he's got a shiner apparently from SmackDown. Yeah, so he keeps talking, and he's talking about Axel being perfect and all this other crap. And then he gives the mic to Axel, and he talks a bit. Again, I can't feign interest in this boring sumbitch. This motherfucker needs to go, and he needs to go sometime soon. Go bye-bye. Boring as fuck, and even with Heyman talking him up, it still ain't helping. Whatever. They get in the ring, or Axel does at least. It's time for a match. Jericho and Axel. And again, this match is actually decent. Just minor notes. Axel hits a rope hung neck breaker again. He hits that on Jericho. They cut to a commercial, they come back, and Axel hits the McGillicudder, but only gets a 2 count. Jericho hits the Lion Salt, but only gets a 2 count. He goes for the Code Breaker, but Axel counters it. He grabs him as he jumps up for it. He grabs him, and then he basically just kind of falls back and snake eyes Jericho on the top rope. And after that, Axel hits the perfect plex, but he still only gets 2 count. Jericho's able to get the walls of Jericho locked in, but Axel gets to the ropes, so we get a rope break.
Not enough mana. I don't have enough mana.
Yeah, so he gets out with the rope break, and then he... Oh, right. After the rope break, Jericho breaks the hold, of course, and Axel rolls out onto the apron. And so he's standing there on the apron, and Jericho comes running and basically like forearm shots him, and Axel flies off the apron and he bangs up against the friggin' announce table. Yeah, so he bangs up against the announce table, and I believe it's at this point that Miz gets up off of commentary, because him and Axel, of course, have their Intercontinental title match at the pay-per-view. But Miz gets up off commentary, and he's trying to be like, I'm not doing anything. But then Axel starts getting in his face, and he's like, you want to go? You want to go? And Heyman has to come over and grab Axel, and he's like, dude, you're going to get counted out. Get back in the ring. And he's like, come on, get back in the ring. Whatever the fuck. Heyman finally talks him down, and Axel rolls back in the ring, but he's still distracted. He turns around, Jericho hits the code breaker on him, and gets the 1, 2, 3. So Jericho wins. After that, they show a recap of Daniel Bryan and Sheamus from earlier, and then they hype up Punk versus Orton, the main event, and they cut to another commercial break. When they come back, they show another RVD video. This time, it's versus Christian in another Intercontinental title ladder match. I think this was from 2003. I don't remember the exact date. They gave the date, but I don't remember it. I didn't write it down. Whatever. Again, RVD won this match. So, whatever. Yeah, so they cut backstage to Josh Matthews, who is talking with the Rhodes Scholars, Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow. And they're in the backstage, the little interview set. And so Matthews tries asking them, is it a good idea you two being in the same Money in the Bank ladder match? It might put a wedge in between your guys' friendship and everything, right? And Cody and Sandow are like, no, we'll be fine. We know it's all every man for himself, but we're not going to let it ruin our friendship. And then up comes Zeb Coulter, flanked by Antonio Cesaro and Jack Swagger. And Coulter starts talking. And, of course, he's doing his usual shtick, blah, blah, foreigners, blah, blah, whatever the fuck. Wade Barrett comes up and he says something, and even though he's speaking English because he's just British, it's not like he's, from speaking some other language, he says something, and Coulter's like, whoa, 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 I didn't catch anything you said. Were you even speaking English? And I'm like, yeah, he was speaking English, you douche. He might have a thick-ass British accent, but it's still English. Whatever the fuck. All of them start arguing, and then Fandango comes up. He just pops up out of nowhere, almost. And he starts trying to do his Fandango, but he keeps getting cut off by Wade Barrett. He keeps trying to do it, and Wade's like, no. He tries to do it again, he goes, stop. Finally, he gets most of it out, but Wade just clocks him in the head with like the bull hammer elbow thing. So he just clocks Johnny for no reason. And that's pretty much the end of the segment. And I'm thinking, okay, well, this was a hype thing for the SmackDown Money in the Bank, but where was Dean Ambrose? He was nowhere to be found during this segment. He was nowhere to be found this entire episode of Raw. I don't know why, but it kind of saddened me that he wasn't on the show, honestly. He's one of the few good things about Raw most of the time, and it was kind of lame that he wasn't there. But anyways, so that segment ends, and they do, of course, the stupid commentators introduce another reporter in search of the Wyatts video. And this one is the reporter guy walking through the compound, the Wyatt family compound, and he's being led by Harper, and Harper tells him, don't wander off, or don't stray, is what he says. But you can hear somebody going, obey, 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 and just repeating it over and over. And you can hear it, and the reporter guy opens this door in the hallway, and he sees this guy, another goat mask. I guess it was Rowan, don't know. But then it's like the reporter gets jerked over, and there's Harper again. He says, hey, I said don't stray. Come over this way. And he points him towards a door, and he says go in. So he goes in the door, and there's Bray. And he starts shouting a bunch of mumbling, incoherent bullshit. Who gives a fuck? They cut to commercial. When they come back, Sin Cara is in the ring, finishing his entrance. He gets his little pyro, he does his little flip off the ropes, whatever the fuck. So he's in the ring, and then Alberto Del Rio comes out. And as he's coming out, they do another recap of the Fiesta Del Rio, where Ricardo got smashed in the face with the little mariachi guitar. And they keep saying, oh, because of this, Ricardo was injured. But as I said in my SmackDown video, the truth is Ricardo got suspended for failing the wellness policy. But anyways, so Sin Cara's in the ring and Del Rio's in the ring, and they start having a match. And the first thing I notice is they bring back the stupid fucking Sin Cara lights, the blue and gold shit. They do this for every match Sin Cara is in. And it's stupid. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. And the fact of the matter is, Sin Cara's done. He has no popularity. He's pretty much been buried. He acts as a jobber anymore. So I don't know why they keep doing the lights. It's a waste of fucking time. But whatever. Who gives a fuck? Again, minor note. Sin Cara goes up top, but eats a top rope enziguri kick from Del Rio, which gets him a 2 count. Del Rio gets a 2 count, of course. Sin Cara winds up back in the corner, and Del Rio comes running up and hits the enziguri in the corner, which again only gets him 2. And then Ziggler's music hits. And out comes Ziggler, and he's in his nice suit and whatever, and he's got a mic. And he starts talking. And he says, you know, I'm sorry about injuring your ring announcer. Well, kinda. And that's literally what he says. So he says, but I'm gonna give you an introduction like Ricardo would give you. And, you know, you have to bear with me. This is my first time doing this. So he starts introducing him as the man who rip off and whatever the hell. And he's just using this to shit all over Del Rio. And it's, you know, not like it's not true what he's saying. But he's saying he's a no-good coward and all this other bullshit. And so Del Rio's still in the ring trying to fight Sin Cara, of course. And but yeah, so they're still having the match in the ring. And Del Rio's doing his best to fight off Sin Cara, but Ziggler's still on the outside just talking trash about Del Rio. And eventually Del Rio has enough of it. He comes out and he starts attacking Ziggler. And so they're fighting and whatever the fuck. And then out of nowhere, Sin Cara dives down from the top rope on top of Del Rio and wipes him out. Ziggler leaves after that. And even though there was blatant interference, blatant fighting, the bell never rings. There's no official announcement made. The match just ends. So I was kind of weirded out. I'm like, interference? Technically, Del Rio would win because he and Ziggler started fighting each other, so technically Sin Cara would have been disqualified. So, but whatever. The match just ended. We cut backstage. Brad Maddox and Vicky Guerrero are in the... they're walking through one of the hallways. I guess they're coming out for... they're coming out for Vicky's job evaluation. And we get another reminder that the app vote is still going on. You can vote whether or not Vicky failed or if she passed. And they say her job evaluation thing is up next, and they cut to commercial. They come back, and they show another recap, this time of Henry and Cena from earlier, their little face-to-face that ended with Cena getting his ass kicked. But they cut back to the ring, and Brad and Vicky are in the ring, and Vicky's sitting on this little, bar stool, and I think there's one there for Brad as well, but there's also this desk with 3 office chairs behind it. And so, yeah. Brad and Vicky are in the ring, and then Vince's music hits, and he comes out flanked by Stephanie and Triple H. So all 3 of them come out. They come out and they get in the ring and they
Fortune smiles upon you.
Interesting. Yeah, so whatever. Stephanie and Vince and Triple H all get in the ring and they sit down in the office chairs. Stephanie starts talking. And again, I don't really give a rat's ass about anything they said. So you'll have to forgive me. Again, when anybody named McMahon talks, I just zone out. So, anyways. Stephanie talks, and then Vicky starts talking, and she's kissing more ass, and the crowd boos her, of course. And Vicky brings up the returns that have happened on her watch. Christian, and The Undertaker, and yada yada, and all this shit. And Stephanie says, how can you take credit for The Undertaker? You didn't really have anything to do with him. And she also mentions that... you also brought back Brock Lesnar, who attacked and beat the shit out of Vince and Triple H. And Vicky says, that is true, I brought Brock back, but I had no idea what he was going to do. And she apologizes for it. And then Vince starts talking and says that Vicky doesn't really need to apologize because, she was just doing what she felt was good for business and what was best to bring the best possible entertainment to the fans and all this shit. The whole gist of this is Vince is taking Vicky's side, and Triple H, he finally starts talking, and he doesn't like Vicky. And he even brings up her annoying voice and all that shit. So Tripp is talking, and then Vince talks some more, and then Triple H talks some more, and he says, why don't we let Stephanie decide? And I'm like, okay, why? But anyways, Stephanie says, I don't really want to decide, so what we're going to do is we're going to let the people decide. So let's bring up the app vote and see what the fans said. And they bring it up, and it's a landslide, like 75% or more, voting that Vicky failed, so that she should be fired. And so she fails, and Vicky's pissed off, of course, she's throwing a fit. Stephanie says, you're fired, and Vicky literally has a crybaby fit in the ring. She collapses down to her knees, and then she falls on her face, and she rolls over her back, and she's flipping out, and it's just like how Christian was several years ago, if you remember way back then. She's having a crybaby fit, and Triple H and Stephanie basically leave at this point, and Vince gets up from his office chair, and he grabs a mic, and he starts talking, and he says, are you people happy now? Look what you've done to this poor woman. Again, he's taking Vicky's side. And he says, you know what? You people don't deserve to have such a good GM as Vicky Guerrero. But we do need a new GM. So I'm going to give you people what you deserve. And he announces that the new GM is going to be Brad Maddox. And I fucking was like, yes! Because this is what I've been hoping for all along. And they get a shot of Maddox. He is completely stunned. Like, he's totally stunned. He doesn't know what to say. Vince starts leaving with Vicky, and he's like kind of has his arm around her, like trying to comfort her, whatever the fuck. So they're leaving, and Maddox goes around behind them, and they're leaving. They cut to commercial. When they come back, they do another freaking RVD video, and this time it's just basically of him hitting a Van Terminator on Kane. Some match. Don't even remember. I think this one was from 2002 as well. I don't remember. But then they cut backstage where Vince and Vicky are there. And Vince, again's trying to comfort her. And he's saying, you know what, I'm going to make this right somehow. And Maddox comes up. And he says that, you know, he wants to thank Mr. McMahon for giving him this opportunity. And he sticks his hand out for Vince to shake it. And he's like, you know, I really want to thank you for this, and you won't regret it. And he says, you know, we'll all miss Vicky, of course. And Vince basically just looks at him and says, how long are you going to hold that hand out? Because Vince obviously ain't going to shake it. And he basically reiterates that he gave the people the GM they deserve. So he's basically trying to mean it as an insult. Like, he knows that Maddox is going to fuck something up. But the people deserve that because they want to be so rude to Vicky. And I'm like, you can condescend and you can act like Vicky is a good GM all you want. The bitch has the most obnoxious, annoying voice like nails on a chalkboard. She's really not that good of a GM. She doesn't make that good of decisions. She doesn't make that good of matches. And I just can't stand looking at the bitch. Okay? So you can try and say, oh, this is our fault for treating Vicky so bad and always booing her and, you know, wanting to get rid of her. You can say, oh, this is our fault. And we deserve to have a crummy GM like Brad. And honestly, I think Maddox would make a far better GM. He may be inexperienced. He may not have any experience. But I think he'd make a much better GM. But yeah. All of a sudden, Vicky just goes crazy and starts attacking Maddox, slapping him and get away from me and slapping him, and it's just like really weird. Maddox runs off, and Vince comes up and grabs his jacket off of Vicky's shoulder, because I believe Vince had put his jacket around Vicky. And he grabs his jacket and he takes off and just leaves Vicky to wallow in her own shame or whatever the fuck. She collapses down to her knees again, whatever. They cut back out to the arena and Kane comes out. Now, this is another one of the matches that that Vicky announced earlier for one of the All-Stars teaser matches. It's Kane versus Christian. So Kane comes out and then Christian comes out. And they're going to have our match, or their match. And the only notes I have here is whatever. They cut to commercial. Christian hits a tornado DDT on Kane out of the corner. Christian goes for the spear, but Kane catches him into the chokeslam. He hits the chokeslam and gets the win. Immediately after that, they cut to another Wyatt family video, and this isn't another reporter in search of. This is just the Wyatt video. And it basically just says, Wyatt's like, we're here. And they cut back into the arena. It's completely dark. And Wyatt's music hits. And it's playing. And then you can see this lantern. In one of the In Search Of videos, the last one I think, Wyatt was holding this, it's a classic lantern with the flame in it. He lights it and whatever the fuck. But so Wyatt's in the arena now, and you can see this lantern, but I can tell it's a new LED lantern. Because it's got this blue light coming from it. And the normal one, it's a flame, so it's more of a yellowish light. But he's got this bluish light. So he's holding it, and he comes out, he's walking, of course he's got Harper and Rowan on his flank. They come down to the ring. Well, you can't really see shit, because it's totally dark. The only light is coming from his lantern. But you can see them walking really slowly, and I can't even tell how the hell far they walk, because this shot goes on for a good 30 seconds or so. But they're walking down, and then you see him sit down, and this has been his thing on NXT. He sits down in this rocking chair, and he just sits there and watches while his two little minions go and do his bidding. But yeah, he sits down in this rocking chair, and then he puts the lantern up to his face and he blows at it, and the light turns off. And then the lights in the arena come back on, and Rowan and Harper are in the ring, and so is Kane still, and they just attack Kane and beat the shit out of him. They beat him down, and they throw him to the outside of the ring, and they throw him into the stairs at ringside. So they throw him into the stairs and they kind of knock it loose. And this is to set up the next thing they do, which is one of the guys takes the top part of the stairs. But yeah, so one of them takes the top part of the stairs and he takes it off. And then the other guy puts Kane up against the bottom half of the stairs and kind of holds his head up over the top part of the stairs. The other guy takes the top part of the stairs and he spins it around, so he's going to jam it with the, if you know how the stairs are shaped, there's this triangular part that's taken out of the back of it, and this is how it fits up against the ring post. But he turns it around so the triangular cutout part is facing towards Kane. And this is one of the things that just made me laugh about this. He's got the stairs, and he bangs it up against the other part of the stairs, and this is supposed to smash Kane's head and sandwich it in between the two steps. But again, with that triangular part cut out, Kane's face doesn't even come anywhere close to getting smashed. So this is all just fake bullshit. It looks so stupid. You wanted to make it look good, you could have hit him with the flat side. You know, just pull it so it doesn't look like you really killed the guy. But, you know, whatever. So they do this, and this whole time, Bray has just been sitting in his rocking chair just watching. But after they sandwich Kane's head, he comes over, and he, like, straddles Kane and looks down at him, and he stretches his arms out like the Raven pose, and they get this camera shot at his face. He's smiling, he's all happy, and you can just hear the crowd start chanting, "Husky Harris!" And I'm laughing my ass off because, yeah, that's exactly what you deserve, you fat piece of shit. They're chanting Husky Harris, and I'm laughing. They cut to commercial. And I'm laughing this whole time. But they come back. They play a replay of the whole thing that just happened, them attacking Kane and everything. But they do that. And then they cut backstage where Vicky is walking through one of the hallways, and she's carrying this box, which is presumably is full of her shit from her office that she cleaned out. So she's walking downstage with her down the hall with her shit, and she's leaving. And she comes across Ryback, who grabs the box from her, sets it down on the floor, and then he hugs her. And I'm not kidding, this actually happens. Ryback hugs Vicky Guerrero, and he says something along the lines of, "It's gonna be okay, you'll be fine." And I'm like, okay. They cut back out to the arena, and the commentary, specifically. And the Bella Twins are on commentary. And I'm like, okay, great. AJ's music hits, and she comes out with Alicia Fox. And the announcer says, this is going to be a Divas tag team match. And I'm like, okay, great. So AJ comes out with Alicia, and then Kaitlyn's music hits, and she comes out with Layla. So there's our tag match. It's going to be AJ and Alicia Fox versus Kaitlyn and Layla. This match, from what I saw, it sucked. AJ was in there with Layla, and all I really got from this match is, like I said, AJ was in there with Layla, and I don't really know what the hell happened, but Kaitlyn just decides to jump into the ring and attack AJ. And she's just relentless, just attacking, and I'm thinking, okay, disqualify, throw out the match, whatever the fuck. But no, they spill out to the outside, and it looked like Kaitlyn actually did like a suicide dive on AJ. I'm not really sure, but she dove on her somehow. But yeah, in the ring they separated once, and then AJ went outside, and then I think that's where Kaitlyn did the suicide dive. But they're doing that, and then apparently the match, again, just ends. The bell don't ring, there's no announcement, nothing. Kaitlyn and Layla walk off, and I think Alicia Fox walks off, and then Big E carries AJ's limp carcass away after she got her ass kicked by Kaitlyn. They cut backstage to the locker room with CM Punk, and he's there with Josh Matthews, of course, and Punk basically just replying to what Randy said earlier about the whole thing and the Money in the Bank thing and whatever the fuck. So there's that. They cut back out to the arena, and Randy's coming out. They cut to commercial. When they come back, another RVD video, and this is the last one, and this time it's the one night stand. This is where RVD cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase. He was the only person to, at the time at least, he was the only person to ever do it honorably, I guess you could say, where he actually announced it ahead of time. And it was against Cena at One Night Stand, and this is where he was able to win the WWE title, or maybe it was, yeah, it was the WWE title. But he won the title, and apparently they did not show the part of the match where Edge actually helped him win. They just showed RVD winning. Not that I really give a fuck. I don't care about Edge. But anyways. So they show that, and then they finally cut back to the arena, and Punk comes out. He comes out, and he gets in the ring, and it's time for the main event match, Orton versus Punk. This was a good match. Of course, the two can go very well, so of course it's a good match. It goes back and forth for a bit. Randy goes for the rope DDT, but Punk counters it. And he basically backdrops Randy out of the ring. Randy's outside. Punk does the suicide dive. He does the suicide dive. And then they cut to commercial, which is at 5 till 11. And again, I'm thinking, why the hell are you doing this so late? It's almost 11 o'clock. Fucking Christ, you could wait. This looks oddly familiar. Anyways, right. So they come back from commercial, and Punk goes for the GTS, but Randy blocks it. Throws Punk onto the apron, goes for the rope hung DDT. He actually hits it this time. And then he's charging up for the RKO, whatever the fuck. He goes for it, but Punk counters it into like a backslide. But he can't get the backslide. Randy counters out of that and hits a power slam. Okay, he gets a 2 count or something. They get up, and Punk goes for the GTS again. Randy gets out of it, goes for the RKO. Punk shoves him away. Or he doesn't shove him away. He blocks it and just basically sets Randy down and then kicks Randy up in the face and just hits him like with a roundhouse, basically. Oh yeah, he hits that, and then he picks Randy up, hits the go to sleep, and he gets the win. So Punk wins. The match was a lot better than I probably made it out to be. Again, these were just minor notes. Basically the highlights, essentially. So, yeah. After the match, Punk's celebrating, I guess. But Daniel Bryan comes out of nowhere and attacks Punk. And I'm thinking, okay, why? He's attacking Punk, and he throws him out of the ring. And then he goes out of the ring himself over by the commentary desk. And he goes under the ring, and he fetches a ladder. And I'm like, okay, I think I see where this is going. He gets back in the ring with the ladder, and he picks it up, and he decks Randy with it, because Randy was getting up. So he decks Randy with this ladder. And then he sets up the ladder right in the middle of the ring. He climbs up it, and he grabs the briefcase that's been hanging above the ring all night. He actually gets it. He unhooks it, and he's like, yes, yes, and he's celebrating. And that's how the show ends. Nobody else comes out. There's nothing else. It's just him getting the damn briefcase, and that's it. Show's over. So I'm like, okay, I guess they're trying to push Bryan, but I don't know. But anyways, that was the end of the show. That was the end of the show, and it just really, I don't know what to say about this one. The matches were fairly decent, most of them at least, aside from the Divas match, which was... It was short, at least, so, you know, there's that, but, you know. But yeah, so, what the fuck was I even saying? I don't know.
Your fame has grown.
Yeah, the Divas match wasn't really all that good. Of course, it was short, so at least they didn't bother wasting too much of our fucking time with it. But again, it just serves to hype up, you know, AJ and Caitlyn again at the pay-per-view. I don't really give a rat's ass who wins. I just like seeing the two of them put on a decent match, which is, you know, better than just about any of the other divas can put on at this point, because with the exception of Natalya, you don't really have any other good female wrestlers on the main roster right now. There might be one or two down in NXT that are decent, and I guess the Bellas are passable, but again, they're not really all that great. And when they were on commentary during this match, they were just annoying as all hell. So, and again, all they're doing is trying to hype up that stupid fucking show about the divas on the E! Network. Don't give a rat's ass about that. But yeah, so...
Your pet has departed.
I can't carry anymore.
Right, there was that. Wanted to take a minute to talk about the stupid fucking debut of the Wyatts. They flopped, okay? Get over it. I mentioned the message board that I discussed this stuff on earlier. Some of the people on there were really psyched up for this debut of the Wyatts. I don't fucking understand why. There's nothing special about any of them. They're all three hosses with no real talent, and Wyatt himself is really the only one who can even just barely talk, but he's still not that damn good at talking. And by the way, his brother, Bo Dallas, won recently the NXT title. So it looks like he's due for a push, probably up to the main roster sometime here soon. And again, he's not even really all that good either. So they can keep pushing him all they want. Neither one of them's really all that good. So, in all honesty, I don't know what the fuck they see in these guys. I don't see it. The crowd obviously didn't see it because they're chanting Husky Harris. They didn't give a fuck. There was hardly any reaction either. There was no reaction while they were coming out. The crowd was dead quiet. There was no booing. There was no cheering. There was nothing. It was dead quiet. All you could hear was the fucking music playing, and that was it. As they walked down with their little LED lantern. And I also think it's stupid as fuck that he blows into a electronic lantern. He must have also hit the button at the same time to turn it off, because you can't blow out an electric lantern. There's no flame. But whatever. Yeah, so in any event, this episode of Raw was not really all that great. The long-awaited debut of Bray Wyatt was a complete flop. It really was. So. The people in the arena didn't seem to give a shit. I just didn't see it. I didn't really think any of these guys were worth a shit anyways, so. Yeah, well, there was that. Like I said, there weren't too many good matches. Punk and Orton was good. Christian and Kane was alright. The tag team match with the Shield was okay, but the shit fucking tons of funk asses brought it down a lot. So you got that shit. So yeah, there was that crap, and I just don't see it happening, guys. The fans didn't give a fuck. I sure as hell didn't give a fuck.
Your pet has departed.
So. Oh, shit. Oh well. I don't see it happening. Apparently they're gonna feud with Kane, although I have no fucking clue why. I don't know why they even attacked Kane. About the only connection or reason I can come up with is all throughout all the videos that they had, the hype videos for the Wyatt family, Bray kept saying, several times he said, your parents kept telling you that monsters ain't real. Well, I'm here to tell you that they're wrong. And that's the only connection I can think of, because Kane's always supposed to have been a monster. So, whatever. I don't know. Either way, I still don't really get exactly why they're going to have the Wyatt family feud with Kane. And I also don't really know why Daniel Bryan, Kane's supposed best friend and former tag team partner and all this, I don't know why Bryan didn't come out to help while Kane was getting his ass kicked and getting his head supposedly splattered in between the two fucking pieces of the stairs. I don't know why he didn't bother to help. None of this other stuff. Yeah. So, again, don't know where they're going with this. I don't really fucking care. I really doubt it's going to go anywhere good. If they're going to feud with Kane, it probably won't amount to much. So, whatever the fuck. That was Raw. The Wyatt debut was complete crap. They beat up Kane. Who the fuck gives a shit about Kane? I hate to say it. Kane's a good guy, but his character has gone through so many roller coaster ups and downs. At this point, it's just beyond anybody giving a fuck. I mean, yeah, he's a good enough wrestler, and he can cut promos, but it just... when he feuds with somebody, it hardly ever matters. You know? It's hardly ever over a title or anything meaningful, really. So... But yeah, so whatever the hell. I don't know where they're going with this or why. But in any event, that was it for Raw. The show itself, the storyline elements, the angles they did, it's about damn time they got rid of Vicky. I am so sick of that bitch. I can't stand her. Again, I will reiterate, if you guys want to keep paying her and the Guerrero family, since Eddie's gone and he can't keep working, obviously, if you want to keep paying them, that's fine. Have Vicky backstage as a seamstress or as a makeup artist or something, or have her do something else. She is terrible as an on-screen character. Fucking terrible. She's obnoxious as all hell. And as I've said before, it's not heel heat that she gets from the crowd. It's, we want you to fall off the face of the earth heat. We want you to die heat. That's what it is. The crowd hates her guts, and they don't just want to see her get beat up, because she never wrestles. That's never going to happen. It's not heel heat, it's go away heat. It's we don't want to see you anymore heat. The crowd was stoked when Vince announced that Maddox was going to be the GM, because Maddox has been a cool character for a while, and I think he's really going to do a good job. I think that's actually where they're going to go with this, and it'll be funny as hell when it does. But in any event, the storyline elements, whatever the fuck, I guess. Other than yeah, so other than that, some of the storyline elements were alright. Some of the matches were actually fairly good. Like I said, Punk and Orton was good. Try and look back at my notes here. Bryan and Sheamus from the start of the night was a fairly good match. Shield and Tons of Funk was decent, despite Tons of Funk being in it, and the Funkadactyl whores being at ringside. Jericho and Axel was decent. Could have been a lot better there. The two matches that were just completely thrown out just made no damn sense. Sin Cara and Del Rio. Sin Cara should have been DQ'd. And as for the Divas tag team match, Caitlyn should have been disqualified for continuously attacking AJ, even though, she was not the legal tag member of her team. It was Layla. Layla and AJ were legal in the ring, and Caitlyn just decides to get in the ring and just attack AJ for no reason. So again, she should have been DQ'd. Yeah, so, but whatever the fuck. The matches were alright. Overall, it was an alright show. Fucking glad that Vicky's not the GM anymore. Still kind of puzzled as to why Ambrose wasn't on the show. And was really weirded out by Ryback hugging Vicky. Like, I don't get that at all. Whatever. So that was Raw from July 8th, 2013, Baltimore, Maryland. Alright show. So that was it. Thank you for watching if you're still here. I know I tend to ramble sometimes. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, that was the show. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time. Thank you and good night.